Hello.
Hi, Sonali. How are you doing?
I am doing fine, Lloyd. How are you doing?
Very well, very well. Little humid didn't go out here, but doing very, very well.
Yeah, yeah. Is it like more humid than the usual
It
summers?
has
Or
been a little because we had some delayed rains out here till pretty late. We had some, but it's closing showers for the monsoon for us.
yeah,
So we
okay.
do have these kind of final showers coming in for a little
Yeah,
while. It
yeah.
looks like we are there.
Hmm.
So we're just kind of winding up with the, and being so close to the beach, that means the humidity levels are really very high for us.
Yeah,
I think
I can
with
imagine.
November coming in very soon, we're probably going to have the better side of the weather
Hmm.
very
Awesome, awesome. Looking forward to it. I think it's also very hot in Bangalore, which is very unlike the city in general. And there's been like random showers, so you never know. You gotta really take note of the weather forecast,
soon.
trust that it's true. It's been true quite often, regularly, but I mean, it's obviously not the best.
Yes, yes.
Awesome, awesome. So first of all, Lloyd, thank you so much for doing this. This is for people who don't know, this is the third time we're interacting, only the third time. Yes.
Yes,
The first time was when we met each other in Goa during
yes.
a Toastmasters
District
conference,
conference.
district conference. Yes, you
Yes,
were one of the speakers. You were one of the winners. It was so
yes.
much fun watching you up on stage, like absolute craziness. And I just knew that, hey, that's such a cool guy, and I really want to like get to know him. And then I think I've been on and off to Goa. You've been on and off to Bangalore. We have always missed each other
Correct.
up until pretty recently, couple of weeks back, I guess,
Yes,
where we actually got to chat with each other over a nice dinner.
yes.
And we have so many things in common, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. And I remember going back home after that conversation, and I was like, wow, if when I become older, I want to be this person. Like, I know, because every time I meet people, everybody's like kind of winding down, and oh, we have to have this and that, and everybody's like, oh, how do you still have the same energy that you had?
Yeah.
You're not like, whatever, take care of yourself, using health as a sometimes an excuse, not always. But then I look at you, like you're like doing so many things. And then I felt, oh, I'm doing less. Lloyd is doing so much. He's like killing it in every area. I want to aspire to do more. Plus, stay fit, live longer, all of that. I don't think it's an either or. I think the whole hustle culture got it wrong. And when I look at you, I feel, it is definitely possible. So I just thought this would be a nice interaction to bring it to the people out there.
Absolutely looking forward to this one. I really believe that certain things have to change with changing times, and the times have changed so drastically. It's
Yeah.
if today my kid says I'm playing football, he's probably playing it on the PlayStation and not outside on the field right now. So the levels of activity, not only with the kids, it's also amongst us now with corporate work and the kind of work we are in. There's so much of desk work and so much of sitting and computer work, and there are so many occupation related hazards that we're coming across. The disease and incidence of disease has multiplied, and most of it is due to simple reasons like change in lifestyle most of the times.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So for people who obviously were not a part of the conversation at our dinner table, where you told me a gazillion things that you're doing, do you want to give them like a, I don't know, like a bullet list, bullet point list?
Basically, I'm into two kind of very passion-driven jobs that I do, leaving aside the hobbies. So my basically the main function of my clinic here is I'm a clinician. So as a physician, I look after general medicine. So anything from heart to diabetes to the common flus and colds, aches and pains, everything in general medicine we cover. So we have a multi-speciality daycare center in Kalangut in Goa, where we cater to everything. But the picture is to give it a very holistic, a complete look. So when you enter a clinic, you shouldn't feel you're entering a hospital. Mainly because you're already feeling run down, you're low on your hormones, your energy levels, you're feeling terrible, and the last thing you want to go is some dark, shady place, long corridors, no life in it, and you're feeling already bad. So the minute you enter in, you will feel a lot of energy, a lot of life, a lot of greens, a lot of plants, a lot of bright colors. You'll a different feel to it. And then when you enter in, I truly believe for the first 2 to 5 minutes of the consultation, we don't talk about the sickness. And I think that works so beautifully in today's healthcare sector. We're so used to a patient coming into a doctor's clinic and he just says, "Kya ho raha hai?" Like what is happening, and then directly says fever, headache, cold, and he says, okay, check, and then you write it down. But when you have a patient walking in and you'll say, how are you doing today? What have you done since morning? And he talks about his shopping he's done today morning, or a walk he had in, or a laugh club that he's joined in, he had a good evening. And so the first 2 minutes, he's already feeling so relaxed. And what happens magically there is you have the release of so many hormones which can happen just over a simple conversations, things like dopamine and serotonin and the happy hormones, what we call it. And then we come to the actual health issue where the patient will say what the issue is. Then we do the examination, and then we do the least important part, which is actually prescribing the tablets, because by then we have already sorted out the problem to a better scale. So that's the main job. I like my job. I love my job. I would say that as a clinician, because I do like to talk, as it's pretty obvious right now. And sometimes you got to say, "Hey, Lloyd, now shut up. It's my turn as well." So I do a lot of talking with my patients on this. So my clinical job is my main job. And the second thing which I do is something which was, again, very passion driven, which happened after a real life incident, which probably we can catch up during this talk today, where I came across a person who was almost dead. And that situation brought me to a realization that the common man doesn't know what to do in emergencies. And it could be the smallest of the things where we can actually act. We end up doing nothing more than scream, shout, cry, and wait. And that's where we lose most of our relatives and friends and patients and everything of that kind. So that situation resulted in me opening up another firm, which is basically training first aid to anyone. It's not like only for one particular class of people. It could be students, it could be corporates, it could be airports, it could be industries. Anyone who is interested, we conduct workshops, we do certified workshops for them, so that everyone becomes not just actually a bystander, you're actually a first responder. So this is the main two things I do. Besides that, all the hobbies. I'm a Toastmaster, so I love public speaking. So we have a beautiful club in Kalungut, which we chartered as well. So we're part of the Goa Toastmasters. So that's something in. And of course, besides this, all the hobbies that I do, which includes running, sports, dancing, and so many other things.
Perfect. Awesome. So, of course, Lloyd is being a little humble. He's a distinguished Toastmaster and he does ballroom dancing. And haven't you, what is some competition you were talking to me
Yes,
about
in
or
fact, it
something?
was the National Ballroom Dance Championships, and I'm a gold medalist in the International Cha-Cha. That's right.
Crazy. It's
Yes.
crazy. So, you're definitely the example of you can do it all.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that I took away during our conversation before this was when you mentioned I love my job, not just once, multiple times. I loved it because healthcare as an industry, doctors as professionals are so burnt out. We hear that all the time. Doctors have no time to look after their own health, and as an industry, it's just the problem statement is so morose. It's just literally life and death. So it's really difficult to keep up that peppy, nice, moody attitude. But I think you have figured out a way, not just for yourself, but like you mentioned that the entire environment. I know you mentioned earlier when we were chatting that you play like jazz music in the clinic. Yeah, all of that. So I remember it. I was like, that is awesome because as growing up as a kid, I've seen my mom in and out of the hospital a lot. And I have a particular dislike towards hospitals and doctors, unfortunately. All the time, of course, doctors I've kind of overcome that because I've had friends and I've had like really good people in the medical fraternity. But hospitals as a concept, right? I am always away. I probably am the last person to be called at all times. And even if something has happened at home, I am so like frozen that everybody is like along with the patient is like she's gonna faint anytime. Like you have to look after that person who's not sick, who's not but is like psychologically affected because of the entire how it is. And the whole thing about, hey, hospitals are a lot of time are not very hygienic in nature, so you enter as a healthy person, you might pick up something from there. So of course there are a lot of these things, and I love how much you have tried to bit by bit address those from the perspective of a patient who's already not in a great mood, and before they get to you they're already feeling a little better. I love you made sure of that. So I love that. I think so much to learn from that as well.
I think the biggest thing about work, kind of to really get rid of the fatigue, that's the biggest concern today, is we try to take breaks when we are already tired. You know, when the body says, I can't do more, then they'll say, okay, it's time to take a break. But if you can actually incorporate those breaks as a part of your routine before the actual burnout happens, you know, that's the whole idea where we try to push in across, especially with corporate work, you know, which we are into, or a desk work probably for the entire night sometimes, or the entire day. So at that time, if you wait for you to get that the headache, or you get those eye irritations where you're rubbing your eyes, or you feel that stiffness in your back, and only then you say, okay, I think I need to take a break, you are doing it wrong. I think that's what it is. You need to incorporate the part of those breaks pre-planned. I call it the first aid preventive techniques in workplaces. Okay, where you don't wait for the injury to happen, you act one step before that. So if you can make your plans before, like I've got my pre-planned workout, I know that from 9 to 5:30 I am on my desk. And it literally mean 9 to 5:30, we don't really take any long breaks because we work at a stretch. I love working that way. But I do have those 5 minutes, 10 minutes at regular intervals pre-planned. That means as soon as I enter, as when my desktop or my laptop opens up, I will go and get that coffee from the coffee machine. That's maybe 10 meters away, but that's a little walk coming up. My water bottle, I won't sit with a 2 liter bottle. So if you're proudly sitting with the 2 liter bottles, please time to throw that away. Keep a 500 ml bottle with you, because then you go to fill it about 4 times to the water station. You know, the break doesn't have to be a really long one where you hit out in a gym. But if you can do that, if you realize, oops, that 500 ml is going to get over in about 45 minutes to 1 hour, perfect, because that is the time you get up, hold that bottle, walk to the water station, fill it, and come back. Hydration, a few steps, you've stretched out as well, rolled the shoulders a bit, and I think you can work on that. So I think if you can keep these pre-planned as a part of your itinerary, that's a beautiful stress buster and a fatigue buster in advance.
Perfect. I love this. I think the pre-planning, I love that there's a tag and a label and a name to it, because then you start taking it seriously. And this is also something that can be like a discussion between two people. Hey, what's your pre-plan look like? Yeah,
Absolutely.
like so you can exchange I don't know, best practices, exchange some cool things. I know that at my, like, I work from home most of the time, so I have like two desks at home. One is like the, I wanted to get the standing desk, the elevation one, but my actual workstation is a dining table. And that I've made it, it's a very beautiful one. So my parents are like, do not touch it, do not move, and I'm like, okay, great. So I bought like a standing desk with wheels near a different part of the room. So what I do is when I have to, let's say, take calls, or I don't know, sometimes I write, but I first like say things out loud, like dictate the writing instead of typing it. So I use that. Or I can just stand and watch something and just like stretch and things like that. I'm yet to figure out a proper routine, but the fact that it is there, and I have like a different whiteboard in front of it, which makes me feel like very like, okay, I can actually get some work done. Like it's little like a stationery set, a small little plant. So it becomes like a secondary
Correct.
functional desk. That makes me want to get up and do a bit of movement around the house. So I love that you have your own set of things. And in in the middle of all this, is there one particular habit that you think you want to like swear by? You want to survive a work day and you feel like this is non-negotiable.
I think the only the one, if it's one thing that I need to take it up, would be walk, because that's the best thing you can do. A simple walk would do so much to you. In a simple walk, as I just spoke about, like what happens is when you're on a desk work, you get phone calls. Okay, you get phone calls. If you realize this call is going to take more than 2 minutes, get off the chair, walk as you talk. Okay, so that's right. So you don't need to sit on the desk and complete the talk. So if you can have the conversation on your phone, talking business and walking around the room at the same time, you're doing something good to your body, your mind, as well as you're doing your business as routine. So I would say walking, stretching would be the most common recommend at least once in 30 to 45 minutes. So that's the
Okay,
reason I
nice.
stress on that 500 ml water bottle, because usually every hour you tend to finish that up and then you're refilling again. So in 30 to 45 minutes, if you can just get up, walk to that coffee station or walk to that water station, or take a call as you move around, do something like that, just a little get up, a little shrug of your shoulders,
Yeah.
that's more than enough for the body. And you won't believe it, it even helps with mental alertness. It'll get away that fatigue, you'll feel mentally alert, you're ready to get along to the next session of the day. So it
Yeah.
works up, because when you're in a work environment, there are so many hazards. We have the physical hazards where you're sitting down for hours and the entire day. You have the mental hazard, the job demands, what you have, the stress of timings and timelines and all, and your person you're reporting to. And then of course you have your environmental factors, which depends on what kind of environment you're working in. Your comfort, ergonomics, whether your table chairs are good, you're meant for your kind of body structure, your comfort in your room, the air conditioning, is it too hot or is it too cold either? That kind. Is it a noise outside which is disturbing you? Or are you working in a loud environment which is disturbing you or causing ear trouble? So there is so much happening at work, and if you don't protect yourself, who else will? That's what. So I think if you just put certain breaks in as a part of your program, I think it's a win-win situation, and you'll see the results. It doesn't take too long, 45 days, and you'll find a different you at your workplace.
Absolutely. Love it. Love it. So we got one nice comment from Mayank. Mayank is saying this is really helpful. Small steps would go a long way. Awesome. Fantastic. So, I know we've been talking about so many things right now. And I remember that when we started talking, you mentioned about, hey, people take a pause when it's necessary, but they don't really schedule a pause, right? And so I want to understand that whether you work from an office or you work from home or whatever is your job role, right? Some people are on the road most of the time, like very external outdoorsy work. How do we know when is the right time to take a pause? Unless we're like completely burnt out.
Yeah. Now, if you wait for you to know, it's already late. Okay, that's what. Okay, so the idea is we are trying to think in terms of training our plans and schedules to work before it happens. Now, if you realize, now, if you're asking me actual tips, how do I know? Okay, say I've not planned it and I want to know if I'm burning out. Then we'll look for small signs. Like, for example, the commonest one would be you're reading a client's email. Okay, and you're reading it and you've read it, and suddenly you say, what did he say? I missed something in between. And you're reading that email all over again. So, or you're reading a document sent to you by your superior, and you've realized you've read it once, but you have not picked up everything, and you're reading it again. So, if you're doing a repetition in what you have done, that is one sign to say either you're not right now attentive there, your brain is not supporting it, or you're physically getting drained out. So that would be one of the signs. The second sign would be obviously things like you drooping. You look at yourself, just look at yourself at your posture. Are you still talking this way, or are you this way by the end of the evening? We don't realize it, but have a look at your own shoulders. Look at how your posture is. Are you drooping? Third, are you sounding a little over cranky or overreactive in a cranky manner to things happening around you? If you're getting a little too irritable, that could just be a sign of mental fatigue. Those signs, if you're just rubbing your eyes around it, it could not be an eye irritation, it could be simple strain. So these are those tiny things which actually will tell you that maybe you are getting there. You're getting to a stage where you need to take a break. But I truly believe that if you can avoid it, there is a way to do it, and which I like to try it, and I call it a physical reset and a mental check-in method. Okay, we call it a physical reset and a mental check-in. If you can do this about 4 times during your entire work schedule, I think that is the best way to actually deal with something like this before it happens. When I talk about a physical reset, it's very simple to what I just told you right now. Make sure that every 30 to 45 minutes you get up off your chair. You just get up. What you do doesn't matter. You don't have to really go to the end of it or walk a long corridor. It could be anything, a washroom break, a water break. Go and talk to your colleague, a colleague there, instead of just picking up your WhatsApp. Now, a colleague is sitting just there, and I still pick up my phone and tell him, you know what, this particular thing needs to be done by today evening. I can just walk to his desk and have a little bit of socializing at the same time. I can talk to him, greet him, and pass on the message in person. And I've gained about 50 steps in the bargain over there. So if you can do that much, use a little opportunity to get off that chair and do a little bit of walking, and at that once in about 45 seconds, I think you've done the physical reset. Okay. The second thing, if your time permits, if you can actually get a routine, when I talk about a physical routine, I'm talking about an exercise routine. And initially, it is of two parts, cardio and weight training. Okay. I would recommend that a minimum of 2 hours of cardio, minimum of 2 hours of cardio in a week has to be a part of your routine. And you won't believe how energetic you will feel post. Now I'll tell you, it's very ironic when I say this because people get tired after a workout. Okay, you say, my God, I've done my workout, I'm so exhausted, I'm ready to crash for the day. Do it for 4 weeks and the whole process will entire process reverses. Now I would like to run between 5 to 10 kilometers in the morning every day or every alternate day, and then come in for a regular day's work. Most of my patients who see me running in the morning, early morning, will say, Doc, I see you running every morning. How much do you run? I tell them I run about 10. And they say, you run 10 and then you work from 9 to 6 at a stretch without a possible break. How do you do that? I would say, if I don't do that, I will not pull below 4 or beyond 4. Because the day I actually don't run are my worst days as far as energy is connected. Because the best way to get those little hormones I spoke about, okay, best way to get free dopamine. Okay, dopamine is something which drops down, you get stiffness, you get depression, serotonin, SSRIs. These are medicines given to patients for depression. You have it for free in the body. Okay, and endorphins, which are painkillers, stuff like that. If you can get these things for free with a 20-minute brisk workout, doing things you love, not going to a gym. Maybe you like to walk, you like to swim, you like to dance, you like to do Zumba, you like to do classical dancing. If you're getting the hormones for free, why not use it? So I think this is the most important thing I would like to tell each and every person right now. Give at least 2 hours of an activity that you love, because if you love it, you're not going to stop it. Okay, so this
Awesome.
part, yeah, so this part is as far as the physical part is concerned. If you come to the rest of it, if you ask me how to avoid it, I do something called mental check-ins. That means every 2 hours, or if preferably even every 1.5 hour, you do a mental, how you check in into a hotel, you do a mental check-in. So when I say mental check-in, what does it mean? First, ask your body, how do I feel? What are my energy levels right now? If I feel great, it's 1 hour I'm working, but if I am kind of feeling energetic, I don't need to take a break in right now. They said, if I'm not sleepy, I don't need to check in into the bed right now. So if you ask your body, how I'm feeling on energy, good, carry on. If you feel, oh, I'm feeling a little low right now, a little down, then I think it's time to take that break. The second question after the body comes the mind. Ask, how focused are you in the job you're doing right now? Okay, I'm doing some project for a client. Am I still concentrating as well as last 1 hour? If I feel, yes, I'm totally into it right now, okay, no break right now, let's have it in 15 minutes. But if I feel, oh yeah, I think a little bit here and there, I'm feeling a little losing of focus there, it's time to take that break. And the third thing I do is a check in for your mood. Am I feeling happy? Am I feeling calm? Am I feeling anxious? Am I getting angry? Am I getting cranky? So I think if these two things, body, mind, and mood, check on them every hour, and you're standing up and walk out if you feel you need to do the check-in, I think is the best way for anyone to beat this kind of fatigue before it builds in.
Love that. I think so much to learn, and I'm so glad you're sharing all the sauce today, Lloyd. Obviously, I will add a little bit that I feel works for me. I'm also in the journey of just trying to stay more calm than chaotic. For people who have pets, I think you don't need a timer. Your pets, my pet will wake up in the morning and desperately wait for me to wake up, and will just like jump and be all over me till I actually get up, and I have to take her to the terrace where she's just gonna go wild. And then when she goes wild, I'm also like kind of waking up, and I'm also running behind her. So it's a lot of fun. So we have two dogs. Sometimes they play together at the terrace in the morning. It's just so you're starting the day at a really interesting, in a really interesting way. And throughout the day, sometimes I take a break by just looking at them. They're like curled up, sleeping, and I feel like, oh, I just want to go and snuggle and like can I play with them. It's just so refreshing. It really helps. I feel like a sense of play in the middle of the workday really helps. Now the sense of play cannot be scrolling on the internet. That is really draining, because I don't know how your feed is. Most people have a very bad non-audited feed. My feed is very curated, so even if I'm like scrolling, it's only like dogs and babies and travel and all the motivational stuff. But most people have like all kinds of junk which further kind of ruins your mood. And the moment you mentioned the whole cardio thing, I have seen that a lot. Sometimes I'll feel like I'm very irritable. Maybe I'll just go to the gym. Yeah. And that's it. I just go and be on the treadmill for about 30 minutes, or I'll go on the cycling machine for a bit. And my whole, I would say, motivation factor to go to the gym is because I want to watch podcasts. I want to listen to a podcast. And I only listen to like 1 hour podcast, which is also why I do 1 hour conversations. Just feel it's so cool. And if I want to listen to something without anyone's interruption or without my own distraction, I'll go and download one episode, keep it on the treadmill, I'll put it on incline and just walk. It's just so good because mentally I'm somewhere else, physically my body is working. It's really good. Another thing also helps is I have sticky notes everywhere. So and colorful ones. One thing says stretch, one thing says drink water, one thing is like focus, one thing is like be grateful. So everywhere I see something or the other is like reminding me to do something. That kind of helps me. It does help me a lot as well. um yeah, music helps to boost your mood. If some music is there here and there, I mean, I'm
Oh
sure you
yeah.
agree. So
Yes.
really upbeat music, sometimes it just makes you want to like stand up, groove a little bit, move around. Like it, the music will encourage movement because you'll be like, this, the music is too good for me to just sit and do some boring work, right? So all of these things are really interesting and engaging. And still trying to pick up the water habit a bit much. I'm not the best, I have to admit. People who know me and are watching, they're like, Sonali, you dare lie. I will receive some hate comments from them. Like, I'm not gonna do that. And the last thing I'll say, that I have told this to my clients, is that there's something called as a wheel of emotions. Anyone can Google it. Sometimes when we feel down, like if I have to ask any random person, can you name how many ever emotions you can name, they'll probably name a handful of them, like 3 4 5 at max. But there are so many inside each of the happy emotions. There's so many different factors of it. So just take a printout of it and put it on a desk or on a wall or somewhere you can see. When you check in, the whole mood thing you mentioned, right? When you check in with your mood, that wheel will help you understand in that entire mood segment what exact emotion are you feeling, and in those exact emotions you might eventually want to go a step further and write a few activities to get you out of that mood, or further make you sustain that mood depending on negative or positive. So sometimes that could help. So you build your own mechanisms to again get the free dopamine and serotonin and all of that, and you start learning about yourself and your body eventually. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's what we don't do, right? We go to a doctor, we go to a healthcare professional, we want the answers from them, but you are living in your body. Would you not know what's there around your house or in your systems, in your laptops, on your phones? So I think we're very like reluctant to learn about our body and what works for us. I guess that would definitely be the first step.
Two things which I could totally relate to what you said. One is the pets. Oh my God, that is something which is amazing. I have two dogs as well, and they are like the third and fourth sibling in our house. So they get priority over me. My mom is at home. So and they're so loving. The minute you wake up in the morning and he hears a sound that you're awake, he comes in, he actually pushes the door open with his snout. He'll come in and he's greeting you, and they love you unconditionally. I'll tell you, they are the most amazing colleagues or pets or companions you can have at home. So that's something I really connect. The second thing is the music bit. I think it's such an amazing thing. You know, I had an amazing experience recently when I was the secretary for the Indian Medical Association. The state Goa IMA had put up a proposal of a theme of taking care of the old with a heart of gold. So reaching out to them, that was our call out. So we had a program where we had to reach out to old age homes. And when we reached out, you know, the sad story was everyone, we kept reaching out to all homes saying, what would you need from us? What can we do to make life better for all the elderly people in the home? And they said, sadly, they said the last thing they actually want is a lot of money. They need money to sustain. But he's saying we need people and we need the time for people to come and sit and talk to them. You know, today it's so easy just to pass on a donation and just give in a money to them, but nobody is actually would take half an hour to 1 hour visit an old age home, sit and talk to them. So when she said, the caretaker said, you know, it would be so nice if you all had a few people coming in and sitting once in a week or twice in a week, spending an hour in the evening and chatting with them, that's what they want. So we took it a step higher. We connected with a very good friend of mine. Her name is Cheryl, and she's a musician. And we spoke to him and said, so along with Dr. Vishwaraj, another colleague of mine, so we were both in the IMA. So we were coordinating it for our branch, and we said, Cheryl, can we do a musical for these old age homes? A proper live music concert for them in their home. Okay, and then so Cheryl loved the ideas too. So Dr. Vishraj, me, Cheryl, and our team got together and we started going to these homes in the evening. From 3 to 5, 2 hours of the all the local hits, including Konkani hits and all those. And you wouldn't believe, I actually have videos of that which I will share with you. But elderly who are in 80s and 90s can hardly manage to stand on with support like a walking stick or with a walker for actually dancing that day, that way. And the caretaker was so emotional. She said, I have not seen something like this for I don't know how long. These people were singing those songs, they were trying to dance, people who couldn't walk because of arthritis. But that's what music can do to you. So the project turned so well that we started having it in all the aged homes, and it was a super hit. So we realized how beautiful and how healthy a simple music or dance can do to your body and mind.
That's so cool. I think it just gives me so many ideas. But when I visit, I would love to come along with you and go to a few of these old age homes and just be a part of the whole arrangement. It would be so interesting. Oh, I love it. I think I love how you know we're still thinking of innovation, right? Like, why just sit and talk and all of that? Figure out something interesting to do, make it fun. um you know get rid of friction. Like, a lot of these health habits also have this whole friction element to it. So there are a lot of books recommend that, hey, if you want to go to the gym in the morning, keep your gym clothes out, keep the running shoes out. It does help. And I love when you're able to connect that whole mindset to here as well, that hey, will have an element of fun, and we'll have an element of something that they already like. And
Correct.
you never expected them to dance, but I think they showed you that hey, your idea really worked out.
Fabulous feeling. The end of the day, the satisfaction you got by that. I've got a clip of that. It's so emotional to see these people actually trying to have a ball of a time out there. It is really
So
amazing. It
so
is really amazing. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So I have a few comments. I'm gonna like pull it up. We have Alan, who's saying, "Wonderful to hear the man who's spreading the message of safety first and sharing his expertise and making Goa ready." Awesome. Thanks, Alan. We have a question from Mayank. I'm going to read it out. I think a little bit is there. So Mayank is saying that they are safety and security professionals. They face challenge in encouraging employees to join ERT, the emergency response team, as volunteers. And if there's any out of the box ideas that can be explored to have more people volunteer and get trained. So Lloyd, if you want to share anything.
Yes, absolutely. So we are primarily trying to do that right now. So I'm basically an instructor with the American Heart Association, and we do trainings and getting people certified in the basic life support. Now, the biggest fear amongst a common man, a non-medical person, in case of an emergency, is what has happened to that person. Now, if you are going home and you see a man fallen on the street, the first question would be, my God, what's happened to him? And the fear, two fears immediately come in. One is, what's wrong with him? Secondly, if I attend to, say, a medical legal case, a road accident, something where police are involved, would I be in trouble if I touch him? I think these are the two biggest fears in the common man, but both I would like to finish with the fears right now. I would like to finish off this fear right now. Question number one is, as a non medical first responder, you do not need to know what has happened to that person. It's not your job. It's simply not your job. If your colleague has fallen there, or you find a man fallen on the street, okay, whether he's fallen because of low pressure, low sugar, is he having a stroke, nobody expects you to diagnose because you're not a medical person. For that, you are going to shout, you're going to ask somebody to call an ambulance. There will be a doctor, a nurse, a paramedic, somebody qualified coming in who will diagnose his condition. So get it off your head that you are needing to diagnose what's happening there. Okay, so first, do not need to diagnose. That's the most important thing that you need to know. Okay, the second thing you need to know, that your job is very simple. 2 points. One, shout and call somebody who knows. That's number one. Until somebody who knows comes, What can you do over there? That's where we lose our game. That's where we lose, because we only know to shout and call, but then we are just waiting. Okay, I'll tell you a simple example. Okay, let's make this very simple so it's easy for everyone to understand as well. Say this is a patient, that's me. Okay, I've got a very powerful heart here, pumping blood up straight to my brain. Okay, consider this as a corporate building. This is the ground floor, this is the first floor. The powerful pump is right down, and the main server is here. It's getting good supply because the electricity is good. You have a 4 HP pump pumping it very well. Now, for some reason, the power has gone low. The 4 HP pump has gone to 1 HP. Correcting it medically, it could be due to a heat stroke, or it could be low pressure, it could be low sugar, it could be anything. But I've just told you, diagnosis is not your job. So why it's happening is not a job anymore. But one thing is clear: no matter what has happened, the person is feeling dizzy or the person is fallen down because this blood has not been able to climb up. Okay, very simple. The 4 HP is 1 HP now. It's struggling to climb up, so it cannot climb to the brain. So the person is feeling dizzy and he has collapsed. Okay, now when he has collapsed, the brain and the heart are at one level. Gravity eliminated. So if you realize, if somebody faints, in a minute they usually feel better. Why do they feel better? Because now the blood doesn't need to climb up. It is at the same level as the heart, and the patient is actually recovering no matter what the cause, because the brain is getting blood even at that 1 HP power which is there, right? But the biggest mistake, what do we end up doing? Anyone who faints, next minute we get a chair and say, please, let me help him up. Please come up, sir. Let me help you. What are we doing? We are getting the brain up again when the heart is still struggling to pump, and we think we are actually helping that person. So the biggest mistake I have seen people do is, when somebody has fallen, in the next second we're getting a chair and we're making sit. When the body has thrown him down for a reason.
So keep them lying in a lying
Yes, the
position.
message goes
Okay.
out to everyone. If anyone has fainted or fallen for any reason, again, I stretch it, diagnosis, not your diagnosis right now, for anything, the logic is the brain is not getting blood due to whatever reason it is. So, what you can do, first shout out, call for that help, because you're not the doctor there, but till that person comes, keep the person low. Let him stay there till he says, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling better now. Then maybe it's time to make him sit. But if he's still feeling faint, you can do something even better. You can actually get a stool or a box or a bag and get his legs up. So you're putting so much of blood in your legs towards the brain. And I'll tell you what, no matter why he's on the floor, he's going to feel better with this. Because you're giving that brain that essential blood that it's not getting. And the worst thing you can do is actually make him sit or stand at that point of time. So these are the things we need to make lay people understand in training in corporates. When I do a lot of corporate trainings. I train the airports out here. I train most of the companies, executives, industries, hospitals. So when we're doing this, I make it important for non-medical personnel to realize that you do not need to diagnose the case. You're there as a bridge. You're only the bridge. The person is in the beginning, the hospital, the nurse is the end of the bridge. You are the flyover, you're the connection. Okay, you're calling and you're holding, you're waiting till help arrives, and you're doing basic things like this, which would keeping head low in case of faintings.
Perfect. Awesome. Awesome. So, like, this is obviously like I didn't know it, right? I mean, a lot of people don't know it. We always, I know for a fact that I've fainted a couple of times due to really funny reasons. Either I've fallen, I had a blackout, or I've seen blood and I've like had a blackout or something like that. And it's always been like, oh, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
So that's
but
actually the worst thing. And what you can do
yeah,
for yourself. So, for example, if you are in a situation where you know you're fainting, you know
yeah,
the logic now. You know the math. You know the math
lie
that the heart
down.
is not able to pump. So, get your brain at the same level as the heart. So,
Yeah,
if you are in a non-embarrassing place where you can lie down on the floor, do it. But if
yeah,
you are in a corporate meeting or something where you can't just jump onto the floor and lie down, the
yeah.
best thing you can do is at least put your hands across, put your head on your hands, and put your hand on your lap. So
Hmm.
when you put your head on your lap, your heart and brain are at least at one level. So you have cut out the extra climb which is there, and you already feel better. So
Yeah.
simple acts like this will actually prevent you from actually falling down.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great, awesome. This is very very helpful. And like our viewer was asking a question. Like now connecting it back to the question, which was that how do you encourage your emergency response teams to serve as volunteers? Um, what do you think we can do here?
If you tell them that your volunteer's job is not to diagnose the condition, not to investigate the condition, your
Hmm.
job is only call for help and help the victim till help arrives. How are you going to help the victim? I would recommend they attend a basic first aid workshop, which are there across the city right now, all over the world, all over. Bangalore does it, St. John's does it. In fact, I come to the St. John's Medical College, become affiliated as a trainer with St. John's in Bangalore. So they do it. So if you would like to learn, just contact them. You know that it's a
Okay.
short course. And you can get it
Awesome.
done. So if you know knowledge, then you can put it up better, because the
Yeah.
idea of first aid is not only doing good, it's also not worsening what's already there. Okay,
Yeah.
that's important. So if you tell anybody you would like to volunteer, number one, no stress of diagnosing. You just have to shout out. Till then, we will train you on what basics. What are the basics? Head low, lift legs, things like this. Okay, when do you give water to someone? You know, basic. Another thing which I've seen very, very often is somebody who's fainted, we give them water. Now, is that the right thing to do?
Hmm.
Sometimes yes, sometimes that can be dangerous. You know, that
Hmm.
can be dangerous, because what happens is when a patient collapses, okay, there is a default. Now, how you have a railway track crossing, you know, when the trains come and the buses are going through, accidents don't happen because there is a barricade which comes in. Every time a train comes, a barricade comes and says, okay, this route is not accessible. We have the same crossing here. We have a mouth, it's magic. Okay, see this magic trick. Okay, this mouth, I'm breathing in. Where has the air gone? Straight to the lungs. Now, in the same mouth, Sonali, I'm putting some water. Okay? Where has that water gone? Into the stomach. Same mouth, air is going to the lungs, water is going to the stomach. So that's magic, right? That happens because of the gate here. When I'm breathing, the gate to the stomach closes, allowing air to go to my lungs. And when I'm swallowing, it closes the other way and lets food go into my stomach. But when a person has collapsed, again, no matter what reason, if he's completely passed out, you cannot wake him up. You're waking him, you're slapping him up, but he's not getting up. The default gate is going to be breathing to keep him alive. The body will say he can drink water later. I'm going to keep his breathing passage open so he can subconsciously breathe. And at that time, you put water or sugar in his mouth, you're putting it into his lungs, and you're going to probably kill him or create a pneumonia there. Okay, so second strong message to anybody out here: if you find somebody passed out and non responsive, if you wake up and he's making some sound or is speaking, free to give water or sugar. But if you're waking him up but there's no response, but he's alive, he's breathing, please do not put anything in his mouth, because the default gate is lungs. You're going to put it straight down his air pipe. So I think these are the basic things we need to train first responders, not giving injections and tablets.
Yeah.
That's not first aid. So I would say basic training in things like this. Number two, telling them no stress of diagnosis. Number three, call out, have an action plan as to in your corporate office, who is the first person of contact you're going to call in case how they have a code blue, and in hospitals, there should be a code number where you can shout out to call who will immediately coordinate. And the fourth important thing, as a layperson, you are not cannot be sued by law for doing something wrong while giving first aid, because that's something like the Good Samaritan law that's available all across the globe. So you're pretty
Yeah.
protected as long as you don't do something too rash and too bad.
Awesome. So all you're saying is that there's a fear of making things worse because they're not trained. So we can eliminate that fear, and not just for them to be volunteers, but also saying that this is a life skill. Of course, it's a literal life skill. It's not even a
Yep.
figurative life skill. And once they are trained, tomorrow they can even help someone in need, and their own family, their own friends, a random stranger on the street. It doesn't have to be someone in their office itself. you know Fantastic. I think I've learned so much here. I'm obviously going to attend attend your workshop. That is in the cards. But I think we'll take a little bit of a segue into the whole workplace domain, right? Now we look at workplaces. We look at nowadays, founders have gotten their own brand, and sometimes, most times, at least at this current stage, it is becoming bigger than the companies that they have founded or they are a part of. And a lot of founders do kind of promote the idea of hustle hard and work overnights and blah blah blah, all of that. But we also have founders who are showing healthy habits, right? uh, but because there's a lot of mixed reactions out there, like mixed messaging out there, do you think leaders should not just perform or take care of their health and have healthy habits but also show it? And if they do show it, do you think the perception is what it's supposed to be, like powerful and inspiring, or do you think it could also be performative and then ick people off and they won't even want to do it? Like, it's a very weird place that all these like celebrity-ish figures are having. So any thoughts on that?
Yes, personally, I believe that things done in silence are always the better move. But things done in silence do not motivate people sometimes because they are not noticed. Okay, so if I just do a good deed and I just keep it for my own satisfaction, if, like, for example, I'm donating money, then I don't need to put it up because that is something done for my personal satisfaction, my personal comfort. But if I'm doing something where even one soul can be motivated, okay, then I truly believe, Sonali, that has to go out. Okay, it has to go out not as my personal gain, but it's something good done to society where someone else can inspire. And I've had two very interesting talks with two of my colleagues recently. One was a doctor from Goa, and one was actually is a doctor from Bangalore. And I had a talk with her recently on this. And the talk was about how whether we should post on LinkedIn. Okay, the talk was about when we do things, we do camps, we do activities, we do sessions, we attend conferences. Do we post? Because the comment she told me was sometimes people may think that it's trying to show off, that way. Yes, if you're posting your trip to Paris and the Eiffel Tower with a little red dress, then it's totally show off. Okay, that doesn't have to come on social media, according to me, unless you get a high on it for personal reasons. But if you're doing something which is social, a camp, a lecture, a talk, as a lady, if you're doing something which is so, something rare, something unique, a new idea, a new concept, I truly believe that has to come on a platform like LinkedIn. Okay, in fact, I was just telling her because this doctor does a lot of traveling and it's good work that she's doing. So I told her, yes, you need to do that. And if you just do it and keep it in your company books, nobody knows. I said, out of, you may not get likes. Okay, that's another thing. You may have a post and you may have like four people saying like, but believe me, 1,000 have seen it. And probably 400 have got inspired by it. But today's world is some of them will not want to do that tick over there. So I truly don't go by likes anymore. I go by if one post, if this post of yours can inspire two people to get a better lifestyle habit at work, our job will be done. That's what it is. I was talking to this other doctor in Goa as well. He had the same query. He was not active on LinkedIn. And I told him, I said, Doc, you are doing some amazing work. You need to post. I'm so happy now. Every time he does something, and he's doing good work, I see his post on LinkedIn and I'm always there to support it. But I think people need to know, because if it's something where you can touch a soul and motivate someone, especially as you all, as young ladies doing this, I think you can inspire so many youngsters to take up careers and fight their hesitancy. So I think post as long as it is something which can motivate someone.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah. So, whatever you mentioned right now with the hesitancy, right? So, I work with a few leaders on a one-on-one basis, and we do like this coaching called Humanize Your Brand, because they feel like they have been outside the whole social media world for so many years. When they started, social media was not a huge thing. LinkedIn was predominantly a platform where you would only share work updates. Happy to share, those kind of posts, or like, hey, I'm looking for a job, like only for hiring or like congratulatory messages. But over time it's become really social in nature, which is a very interesting thing. So she's like, hey Sonali, you post a lot on LinkedIn, I would like to kind of learn from you. And I said, but she was very hesitant, so I was like, listen, all you post is something related to work, but most of your posts are very like, hey, I'm attending this conference or I'm getting this award. So if people look at you, relatability is still less, because you're only getting awards and you're this like very important person at the top of the pyramid. So if I want to learn from you, I'll be like, this person is so further off. There's nothing I can possibly do to reach there, right? Because I'm always comparing my day one to your day 50 or day 100. Like, it's subconscious, is just the way it is. So I'm probably gonna be like, let it be. Yeah, there's no point. I'm never gonna reach this. It's okay. So you might kind of demotivate them. But if you post your day to day in whatever aspect it is, like you also show your wins and your losses, and you show that, hey, I tried something new, or this is the very first time I tried this. People are like, oh, this person is a human being. So you're humanizing your brand, you're humanizing your messaging, and hence you're motivating them to take that first step. That's when you being on social media is actually giving like a positive ROI. Your posts are, like you mentioned, that a lot of people, the people who work with me don't engage with my posts. I've seen it again and again. So many people are there, they just watch me, but they're not social. So they'll come on my DMs, they'll like call me, they'll email me. So many people have emailed me. I'm like, oh, how did you? That's so crazy. That is so cool. But I truly feel like you mentioned that if it, like, you'll know which post is performative in nature. Like, you'll know in your heart that this is performative, and if that bothers you, then just don't do it. Just don't do it.
Absolutely. That humanizing factor thing is really true, actually, because we like to portray our best selves outside. So it's very difficult to come out and say, you know what, I failed this time. It's very, very difficult to say that. But everyone has gone through it, I guess. That's what. So I guess that comes to good mentorship. If it depends on whether you're just a leader or a mentor. I think a mentor realizes this. I remember my first Toastmasters experience, and I had gone there for my first speech. Okay, it was my first ever speech, and the first speech I was told was supposed to be your self introduction. So I had so much to speak about. I was like, oh, this is going to be, I'm going to just blow everybody's mind and show who Lloyd is. I wrote the entire script, and then a mentor said, "Come over, let's have a chat before you deliver the speech." So I went with chest out, proud, and he's going to say, "Wow," pat me on the back and say, "What a guy, you've achieved so much in life, and his speech is going to be a rock star." You know what he did? He took my paper, he read it, and he deleted 90% of it. Okay, 90% of it, literally. And I was like, so disappointed. I was like, gosh, this is not my mentor. I don't want to be a protege with this kind of a mentor. But I'll tell you, then he sat down and he explained to me why. He said, Toastmasters is a journey. You're going to give 100 speeches along the way. If you're going to open your entire life in your icebreaker, what are you going to keep for later? He's saying, pick up on these two things of your life and go on with it for your first speech. Then you touch on a different aspect on your second speech. And I'll tell you, he was such an amazing mentor to me from that point where I hated him for that minute when he deleted those things to him, his DTM Umesh. I should give credit to him here. But at that point of time, he guided me to get to how I could structure my journey. And that has been an amazing journey at Toastmasters. And that's what mentoring is all about. It's about looking at someone who has taken that journey before. Earlier, before GPS came in, how would we travel? We had to ask people. So you can't ask someone who doesn't know. He'll just say, go that side and bluff you. But you would go
Yeah.
to who looks to be trustworthy. And then you would say, have you gone there? And if somebody has gone that journey and you take advice from him, it's win-win from there. It makes your life so much easier. I think it comes to good mentoring with good leadership.
Absolutely perfect. We got a really nice comment from someone who said, "Dog, great job. Keep up the good work you're doing. Best wishes." Oh, lovely. All right, perfect. So, last, not the least, but of course, has to be the last. Lloyd, if we designed work around human health, what do you think is one thing we can change? Let's say starting tomorrow or even today, because it's not too late.
If you want to start a new system of working, I would come back to what we spoke right in the beginning. When you're sitting with your agenda for the day, okay, you've planned your thing for the day, make sure you already have a part of your program for your breaks planned in it, and don't wait for the kind of breakdowns to, or the early signs of breakdowns to come in. You have to have an itinerary where you plan up, where you come in. They call them habits, and those habits should be a part of your program, not as rescue methods later. So you plan up that, okay, I start at 9, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what it is. So I know my time. By 11, I kind of get tired. So 11 is going to be my first coffee stop, maybe. And then by 12, I'm going to do this. And by 4 o'clock, I'm going to do that. If you can incorporate your fitness requirements to your work thing as a combination, okay, that could be the best thing someone can do for your work. I think it really works well combined with 2 hours of cardio and at least 2 days of strength training, and especially for the ladies. I've always seen the ladies in the cardio section, not much in the weight section. Weight training is a must for everyone of every age. It could be a resistant band, but incorporate it and the results are going to be amazing.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. I mean, when you say the ladies, that's also me. I will have to be very honest. I love cardio. It's so comfortable, and I'm like, but I get the whole strength training bit. told to me like way too much, way too many times for me to ignore anymore. And I will definitely at least get a resistance band. I think that is something that I've figured that can be used, and why not? But another quick thing that I wanted to sort of add here is that this is very weird mental hack. So I work with a lot of founders directly, and the I help them with the whole people, culture, strategy consulting and stuff. But I also help them understand that they are the source of the energy. You cannot just have like a culture playbook and those fancy decks, talk in like very jargon, flamboyant language, and not really be that person, right? So if you're saying that, hey, um, we are a person who cares about our company's well-being, you cannot merely say it, you have to show it, right? And that also starts with me helping them understand that work life balance is important, taking breaks is important, all of that stuff. And then I figured that, hey, it applies to me as well. If I'm working with them, consulting with them, and helping them figure out their work life balance, am I also showcasing that to them, like showing how it is done from my point of view, right? So recently someone asked me that, hey, can we get on a call next week? And I'm like, no, I'm actually off for Diwali. And initially in my mind it was so uncomfortable to say, because I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna judge me. Like, oh, Sonali takes Diwali breaks. Oh my god, she's not very, I don't know, very non-entrepreneurial, right? Like, or like very non-startup like. Then I was like, no, I am lecturing them that you should be taking a break. How can I then not show that I'm? This is how I do. This is what I do, and draw those very strict boundaries, so they also understand that, hey, we probably are getting some ideas out of it. Why do I need to open up a sheet of paper, give them an idea checklist, when I can actually, with my actions, show them on inspire ideas, right? And something really fun here is, imagine this is for everyone. Imagine that you are in a reality show and you're being watched all the time. Right? Would you act the way that you're acting? And you've already told the audience, you have entered that reality show with the whole personality, the self introduction, but I am Lloyd, or I'm Sonali, I do LXYZ. And now the audience is expecting you to act it out. That's the whole premise of the reality show. Whatever you are doing right now, would you still continue doing it, right? I think that because we're always so well behaved when people are watching, and we know that there are consequences to it. And I know that people's own health takes such a big hit because we're like, it's okay, we can just take up with that later, go to a doctor or whatever. This will really help you because you're like, my clients, my customers, my team, people, my mentors are watching me. Am I doing what I promised I'll do? That's really interesting for the people who always struggle with discipline. I know it has helped me a lot.
Very true. I think it's very important for you to, of course, say yes when you're in corporate line of work or when you're into a business line of work. But it's also, it is in fact, it was a speech title for one of my very good friends, and I like the thing. It is also to know when to say no. Okay, that's so true. There are times, and it means to yourself as well. Sometimes you're burning so much, but you need to know that this particular time you need to. Now, in my clinic, it's chaos with the kind of work I do. It's absolutely back to back with the clinical work and the trainings coming in. But I can't cater to everyone because I get requests for trainings from various corporates and industries. I do it for executives, I do it for everyone, but I can't do it everywhere. I can't be there at every time. So at some point of time, I need to say no. I need to tell them it's going to be probably only next month or the following month. Tell me in advance. We can do it, but today is not the day. I think it's very important to know when to say no if it's needed, and that applies to your body, your habits, and your work schedule as well.
Perfect. Absolutely. Oh my God, this was such a fantastic conversation. I think I'm definitely going to listen to my own podcast. Obviously, ignoring my voice, but really listen to it again. And I'm sure that people who are going to watch this recording, by the way, will be available on LinkedIn and YouTube, so you can watch it anytime, any place you want. Do contact Lloyd. He does some fantastic work. Attend his first aid lessons, sessions. Go say hi to him in Goa. All of that. Run with him in the morning if you're there. Of course, don't disrupt its flow. But Lloyd, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful that you said yes to this. You gave me your time in the middle of your very busy schedule, and you brought in that energy that is so contagious. It's the right kind of contagious. This is the energy that I want, and I started with this. I'm going to say it again. I want to be you when I grow up. Yeah,
Such a
I
pleasure.
yes, I want that energy, I want that drive, and I want that health. So thank you so much for inspiring me and many more out there.
Pleasure always, and hopefully catch up soon. I should be in Bangalore, I think probably in November for another workshop at St. John's Medical College, but catch up soon. I shall ping you and a shout out to anyone else. If you need any help, please connect. We can work something out.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day. And to everyone who's watching us, thanks so much for tuning in.
You too. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.